Hey everybody, this is me, Jimmy, with Battles and Journeys. I want to talk about something that came to mind early this morning. However, it came to me some time ago, off and on. It comes to me about the diet, right? I get these little inspirational messages, and it becomes relatable. We speak metaphorically, and also um, we like to share things. I like to share things that's going to be um, encouraging, or just somehow causes you to think a little bit deeper than what we've thought in times past. All right, so it's about your diet. What is in your diet? What are you eating? Now, I know normally when you start talking about diet, you're talking about what you feed your physical self, and that is all well, and I believe in doing that. I eat a lot of fruit. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of soursop, or in Spanish, guanabana, a lot of watermelon or sandia. Um, I do a lot of natural things for my physical body, and I like to feed my cells. So now I do like meat. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do like meat. I know those are dead animals, but also I like to balance it out with a lot of fruit and vegetables. But when I talk about your diet, when I'm talking about dieting, I'm not really talking about your physical, not just your physical, and that is always good. You got to keep a good, healthy stamina, feeding your cells. I want to talk about how are you feeding your inner parts? How are you caring for your inner garden? What are you feeding yourself? What is it that you're reading? What are you watching? Who are you listening to? What's your company like? What type of people you surround yourself with? Do you surround yourself with negativity? Do you surround yourself with a lot of conspiracies? Do you surround yourself with people that's really not going anywhere, and neither nobody is really convincing each other to get up and do something? Are we just all talk and no action? And I think it's vitally important, just as much as we feed our physical body, I think it's so important to feed your inner person. What are you feeding your soul? What are you drinking? Are you drinking the Kool-Aid? Are you reading positivity? Are you reading something that's going to help you or get you in a better place? Or are you feeding yourself things that are throwing you in depression? Are you constantly meditating on the negative things? And some people say, I can't meditate. But when you constantly think over and over and over and over something over and over again, you are meditating. And so it's so important that we take care of our inner soul, our inner garden. See, I like to garden as well. So during the pandemic, I um, I started planting. I started planting a lot of vegetables, greens, bok choy, peas, beans, tomatoes, peppers, arugula. I did salads. I did all of those things because those are the things that I enjoy eating. But also, I made sure, one, the seed that I bought was organic. Two, I made sure I didn't put any pesticides on my plants or on the ground. I made sure that the ground was full of nutrients. I bought, can't remember the product, but it's all organic. And so there's no, it would be counterproductive to drop an organic seed into soil mixed with pesticides, all of the things that are going to be harmful for the body. To me, that's counterproductive to plant those kind of seeds, an organic seed, and then turn around and fill it with pesticides, spray it with pesticides. Because you can have something organic, but when you put it in the wrong environment and you feed it, um, you give it pesticides, you give it anything that's going to damage it and not going to be good for the body. It can't feed. What are you feeding your cells? What are you feeding those cells in your body? So it's vitally important. because our inward parts is just as important as our outward appearance. And sometimes we want to just do the outward thing just to look good and to appear good, appear healthy, but rotten on the inside. You can have muscles, biceps, triceps, and don't have any concepts, right? And so it all depends on what you put in inside of you, not just the food that goes inside of you. What do you read on a daily basis? Do you take time out to meditate? Do you get rid of? Do you get rid of negativity, negative speech, negative vibes, negative energy? Even people that comes to bring negativity to you, how do you handle that without being mean and ugly, right? So it's important because what you're taking in, you're going to turn into that. If you're constantly listening to gossip, if you constantly listen to somebody beating you down or bringing negativity to you, that's how you're going to look on the inside. Now, it will affect the outward appearance as well, because even though you are experiencing all of these great things on the outside, but what goes in will really come out. So you can look good on the outside but be very negative. You can look good on the outside but you are afraid. You have fear. Fear is crippling. Fear paralyzes. What have you been listening to that has thrown you into a pit of fear? You see? And so it's important because what you listen to is important. What you read is important. What you say is important. It's just as vital. It is just as important to feed your inside good things as it is to feed your body good things. Because if not, you're going to turn out looking good on the outside, but rotten on the inside. Have you ever seen an apple that looked good on the outside and then you cut it open, it's rotten? I don't want to be that kind of person. Do you really want to be that kind of person? That you got your physical man in order, you're eating, you're exercising, you're drinking lots of water, but because you're digesting negative talk, negative speech, negative news, all of that, looking good on the outside, but inside you're rotten, empty, no nutrients. You're not you're deficient of all good nutrients because you work so on the outside, the thing that people can see. What are you doing? What are we doing when people aren't watching? How are you building your inner self? How are you building that? What are you feeding? What are you doing with your inner garden? Are you watering it as much as you give your body water? Do you exercise your inner garden as much as you exercise your outer body? You just want to look good on the outside and be empty on the inside? No, that's not what we're doing. That is not what we're doing. And sometimes you have to stop, drop, and roll. Just like you're in a fire. You got to stop what you're doing. You got to stop in your tracks. Drop what you're doing that's bad for you. And then roll out. Find out what it is that can build you up on the inside. Negative speech never brings anything good. That's so true. You are what you eat. And it's just not talking about with your teeth. You're eating with your mind. You're eating with your ears. You're eating with your eyes. You're eating with your mouth. What you say is so important. If not, you're going to be like a whole lot of folks. Look good on the inside, but people can't stand to be around you because you're spewing out venom, spewing out poison. You're spewing out your insecurities. What are you doing to work on your insecurity? Your insecurities? How are you feeding your inner garden to make you a better person? What do you do? What are we doing when people aren't watching? And that's really integrity. Can I do the right thing when nobody's watching? Are we doing it just for appearance? So people can turn their heads and compliment you? How about wanting to be complimented on your soul? What about wanting to be complimented on how well you treat people? Have you ever seen beautiful people on the on the physical, the outward appearance? They're beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Everything is in place. Makeup is done. They go to the gym. They work out. They run. They keep, very little body fat. But when you get around them, you can't stand to be around them because they spew out venom. They're hateful. They're not amenable. They're cantankerous. They don't compliment other people. They look to find negativity in other people. They seek to destroy other people. They want you to side with them against the people that they hate. They're filled up with so much animosity because they were busy working on the outside, on this physical body, but left their inner garden unattended. So now it's infested with bugs and all types of worms that is eating up your garden. You got holes in your soul. You got poison in your soul. And every time you spew something out, it's venom. It's venom. Don't want to be that person. Never desire to be that person. And so we have to start focusing on the inner garden. How are you tilling your soil? Have you prepped your soil to plant good seeds? I know I know of quite a few people who seemingly on the outside look very well, but when you have one conversation with them, you hear the venom, you hear the disrespect, you hear the childhood pain. Absolutely. Absolutely. People are competitive. Yes, people need to do the inner work. Plant good seeds. Got to do the inner work. And believe it or not, people be in competition with you silently. They're in competition with how people like you. They hate the fact that other people love you, and they can't get that attention because they've not spent any time developing their soul. They spent most of their time for the physical aspect, but their soul is left underdeveloped, uh, uh, malnourished. They can't think positively. They always down in a dump, down in a dark, deep, dark place. And everybody they connect with, they spew that deep, dark venom on people that they try to connect to, and then they want you to be like them. They want you to mirror them. I refuse to. I refuse to. So we have to understand the importance of dealing with your inner self, spending time with yourself. Don't spend time, see, because when a person look good on the outside and they spend time tearing other people down and they have false narratives, they've come up with their own summation about other people without getting to know them. They create this false narrative about other people. Oftentimes projection is really confession. We see this, we're seeing this a lot now, even in the political arena. When we see somebody always projecting something that 99.9% of the time, they are guilty of what they're trying to project onto you. I would never be your projection. You have to have a pure soul. Even when you mess up and make mistakes, when you've tended properly to your inner garden, you can go back and admit, absolutely, you can go back and admit that you did wrong, and then you move on from there. Absolutely, your perception of me is a reflection of you, and it's important. So please work on that inner garden, till your soil, work on your vibes, Work on how you treat people, how you talk to people, how you think about others. When you see others, because we're really one, we're really one. And so when you see yourself divided and in competition, you're no longer one with the person, right? You've separated yourself. We got to grow. Now, listen, let's talk about growth because sometimes people think because something is expanding or something is getting bigger, they they would like to write that off as, or they like to say, oh, they're growing. But it's a possibility. Yeah, you got all of the effects. You're expanding and you're growing, but it's a good possibility that you're swelling. And swelling is a sign of something is going wrong in your body. It is a sign of infection. It is a sign of sickness. You start swelling up, and somebody will look at you and say, oh, they're growing. You could be swelling and full of pulse and infection. So let's not confuse something getting bigger with something is growing. My mother always taught me stay out of large crowds. Never see my mother in a crowd. God rest her soul. She never had a lot of people around her. She never wanted that. And she taught us basically the same way. So stay out of big crowds. Work on you. Sometimes people can't spend time with themselves because they can't stand what they see in themselves. So they get around a lot of people with a lot of noise to distract them from seeing all of the garbage that we refuse to work on. And we have to get along with ourselves and start admitting that I'm rotten on the inside, or I'm insecure, or I'm not a likable person because of my own actions. See, people can dislike you because of their jealousies and their insecurities. But there are people that dislike people because of things that they've done to them. I remember back in my day where I would always hear this leader say, oh, they don't like us, or they don't like me. But nobody questioned that person to find out what did you do to them for them. When everybody dislikes you and nobody likes you, then that says something to me about you. What are you doing? What have you done? What are you about to do? What are you known for? It's one thing to be disliked because people are insecure and they're jealous and they can't understand you and they turn against you because somebody else turned against you, weak minds, and almost idiotic that you would dislike somebody because somebody else dislikes them. Dislike somebody because of what they did to you, directly or indirectly, right? Because if you hurt my mom, God rest her soul, then you did it to me indirectly. So what I'm saying is there are people who would dislike you for no reason at all. But then there are some people that are disliked because of what they've done. And and sometimes you can't go back and make it right 100%, right? You gotta admit to what you've done, admit to your deficiencies, and go to the people, places, and spaces that you need to go to and admit that I was wrong and I was in my growing stages and I messed up and I didn't come back to apologize, so I'm here to apologize. Now, there will be people who will accept your apology, and then there will be people who won't accept your apology. But also, when you apologize to make it right or to acknowledge you're wrong, and you continue down that path of doing what you just apologized for, then that's not apologizing. You just did lip service, right? So there are people who will dislike you for those reasons. But then there are some people, I've encountered it so many times, even from a young boy, where people would just dislike you because of your talents. They'll dislike you because of who likes you. They dislike you because you are a likable person. They hate the fact that people, when they see you, they smile because you bring a smile on their face. Because of the time that you spent dealing with your inward parts. Absolutely, Claire. Yes, we can feel people's energy. Listen, people don't understand that you can feel people's energy the moment you come into their presence. The moment you come into their presence, you can start, you feel them, you hear them. Sometimes you pick up on their thoughts. That's right, your light does trigger their darkness. Because one thing about light is when you've been in darkness for so long and you've been living in the dark for so long, when you come out of the darkness into the marvelous light, it can be a little painful to the eyes because your eyes have to adjust to that because you're so accustomed to living in darkness. There's some people I know today, I dare to say, that they've built their whole life on a lie or lies, and they cannot, for the life of them, tell the truth. They can't even tell the truth. It's like the truth is not in them. They've started believing their own lies, which is self-deception, and self-deception is the worst deception. When you start believing the stuff that you say, knowing in the beginning it's not the truth. So you say it over and over and over and over again, like we see now in this political arena. People think because you say, keep repeating a lie, it's going to turn into the truth. A lie would never be true. It would never turn into the truth. A lie is rooted and grounded in darkness. Whew. So what I'm saying is feed yourself good stuff and cut things off. Cut people, places, and spaces off that want to inject darkness into your soul, that want to inject venom into your heart to make you become dark like it, them, they, places and spaces. Become a critical thinker. Be okay with saying, I don't want to hear that. Be okay with not even answering your phone. Be okay with cutting people off, saying, that's too negative for me and I can't deal with it. Know your cutoff periods. Know how to tell people where to get off at without being nasty. Because sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm just going to tell the brutal truth. Why does the truth have to be brutal? Just tell the truth. So, in a nutshell, you have to think about it. What is your diet for your inner man, for your soul, for the parts of you that people can't see? Now, we can see it. We can't see your inner parts, but we can see the fruit of it. It's okay, because I had to get to that point too, because at some point, and let me get back to that. I'm going to get back to that. What was I saying? I was saying, what is your diet? What's your diet like? Be okay with cutting people, places, and things off. Be okay with that, to preserve you, because you find yourself wrestling with other people's stuff. There are people I know right now that's angry, but it's not their anger. It's somebody else's anger. That they're allowed to spew garbage in their ears, get them all emotional, get their blood pressure up, get their anxiety level up about something that they have nothing to do with. And now they find themselves carrying someone else's anger. And the anger that the person or people are displaying is not their anger. They're carrying somebody else's disease. They're carrying someone else's trash. Instead of throwing the trash out when the trash comes, show them where the trash can is and say, I don't want that even in my ear gate, my eye gate, none of my gates. Stay out my yard. I don't want to hear. So back to you, fam. Yeah, I've had to learn as I got older. As I got older, I learned some of the rough edges got smoothed out, right? I had to smooth those rough edges out because there was a time that when I would shoot the truth to you, yeah, it was the truth, right? Because we say, oh, I got to get this off my chest. And you just shoot it to them like an arrow without saying, you know what? Let me see how I can make this palatable. Let me get it off my chest, but let me put it in a way that they can carry it on their chest. Because we don't have to get loud and argue to tell the truth. Because sometimes people wait till they get mad to tell you how they feel. I don't have that issue. I can tell you how I feel when the exact moment you do it. I've learned in my more seasoned age to stop you in your tracks and say, hey, wait a minute. What you said might be true, but I don't like how you said it. You need to curtail that. You need to make it palatable. Now, some people, you got to speak their language because they don't hear you. Like they don't understand the smooth, oh, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. We're not on let's make a deal. So in that case, what you have to do, this is what I would do, is tell them how you feel and walk off. Don't argue. It's not a debate. My feelings are real. This is how I feel. And so be able to articulate how you feel without anger. And you can be disappointed because I have articulated how I felt about a certain thing or things and spoke with such disappointment but was not angry. But I will let you know that I don't like what you did, and I'm not going to give you another opportunity to do it to me again. But as I got older, I learned how to smooth those rough edges out and not, give you, because one time my thing was, I'm going to give you straight talk with no chaser. I was younger, but I knew I was telling the truth. I felt right about what I was saying, and I was right about what I was saying. No lies detected. But I needed to say it in another way. And as I got older, I grew into cutting you, and you not realize you're bleeding until you get home. Because there are two ways we can cut you, right? There are two ways we can cut and use our tool. Because when I was younger, I would butcher it. Yes, I would get the job done, but I would butcher it. Blood be everywhere. Everybody that was standing around got affected. But as I became more mature and more seasoned, I was precise and had precision of cut and speech that I can go and cut. It's going to it's going to hurt. The cut is going to hurt. But now, blood is not everywhere. For lack of a better term, metaphorically speaking, I can still cut you. And you can feel the incisions. And you can feel the pressure of the cut. But sometimes you don't know how bad you're cut until you get home and you start thinking about everything I said without without spewing it out in anger or with anger. But I said it very firmly. It ain't no small talk. Let's make a deal. I don't think you should do it. No. I'm going to tell you exactly how, just like I'm talking now, this is how I share how I feel about certain situations and things. It doesn't make sense for me to get my blood pressure up just to express to you or express to them how I feel. It makes no sense in getting my anxiety level up, um, uh, trying to articulate what I feel was, how I felt about what you did or didn't do, right? I'm calm. But you have to know in the stillness and the calmness and the sternness of it, by the time I'm finished, I'm really finished and I'm gone. So it took time for me to get to this space and place. I'm not gonna say times may come that I might have to, when I'm in Rome, do as the Romans, or I may have to speak your language. Um, I may have to um, find out your language so I can speak it, but I don't feel like I have to butcher you every time I talk to you. So, but that comes with so much inner development of me. Know who you are. You can be a very powerful person without screaming and hollering. See, people that screaming and hollering really scare people, I think. Um, you can speak very calmly and be authoritative. I think powerful people know how and when to pull back and settle into who they are. That's just me. I've come a long ways. Um, I can be emotional. Depends on the situation. Some of you saw my story, and while I was sharing it, I was emotional because it was years of pain and pain and pain. And so it's important that you feed you. Oh, yeah. Listen, I understand that. Listen, I do understand that. I really do understand that. It's okay. Listen, the message got out. But as we get older, we just start, because see, screaming and hollering at them doesn't change anything. If they're going to hear, they have an open heart to hear, they're going to hear you anyways. Some people, I don't care how you scream and holler, they're not going to hear you until they start experiencing it, and then then they'll remember the things that you were saying to them. Yeah, and sometimes, and I won't say it was your anger. Sometimes it's not anger; it's your passion. You're upset that they can't see it. You're upset because they don't understand. They can't see what you see, and you're very passionate about it. It makes you feel frustrated or flustered, right? So sometimes that happens. There are people in my family the same way. I mean, they have views that I don't have, but I don't debate them. I don't see one thing about it. One thing about it, I'm not going to debate you about what I'm going to do anyways. And if you don't listen, that's on you at a certain time and space and age of your life. Now, you gave me your age, but I'm your number backwards. I'm your age backwards, right? So there's a lot that I had to learn and to get a hold of. Because I said, you know what, it's making sense. These people are going to keep going in the same direction until they hit a brick wall. I know, thank you. I am certainly your age backwards. And that number is going to pretty soon change in January. But I've learned in this life that teachable moments are teachable moments. And sometimes people are not going to hear you until they run into a brick wall. And then they'll go in retrospect. They will remember what you were trying to tell them. Because we all wake up at different times. We don't all wake up the same time. We all come into a light, or we all have epiphanies at different times of life, right? So that's another thing. We got to understand that everybody's not where we are. We all wake up at different times and different stages of our life. And so trying to make them wake up to a light that they're not even prepared for. Because again, darkness, people have become very comfortable in darkness in where they sit But then when the light come, it exposes. Have you ever walked out of a dark room and you walk into the light, you got to cover and adjust and dilate. Your eyes gotta dilate, right? I think I'm saying the word correctly. You gotta adjust it to the light. And once you see the light, even if you're in a room full of dark people, you are still walking in the light. You're walking in that light. And guess what? Not long from then, or maybe years later, you're going to walk into another light. You're going to get exposed to another light because we're waking up. We wake up at different times. We are, we are, we are constantly growing, unless you're swelling and just been infected with pulse and infection, right? So it's important. All right, listen, I gotta go. I didn't mean to stay this long, but I heard this within me early this morning. I went to the gym, came back and decided to do it. I'm here in the beautiful country of Colombia, which is where I live. Yes, I'm in, excuse me. Yes, I'm in South America, and I'm in Colombia. And so, listen, y'all, please make it a great day. Remember what I just said. Um, really watch your diet, not just physically, but what are you feeding yourself? Y'all make it a great day. Goodbye. Let's see if I know how to turn this thing off.